people. It should be noted that Nikita Khrushchev, who followed Stalin, forbade its use, saying that was too loaded, that it maligned a whole group or class of people, and it shouldn't be done. I don't think that we should be using a phrase that's been rejected as too loaded by a Soviet dictator.
That is a Republican senator talking about a Republican president. Let's bring in Dan Bongino, former New York City Police Department officer, former Secret Service guy, and the host of Dan Bongino Show. He joins us from down in Florida, where it's much warmer than it is here. It feels like it's 9 degrees.
But your head's ready to explode on this.
You know, I can't take this guy anymore. I mean, if he spent half as much time going after far-left Democrats trying to ruin the country as he does going after a president who's had an extremely successful first year based on conservative measures, by any conservative metric, you know, we'd be in a far better place. But what does he do? He's at an approval rating of negative 672 in his own state. He can't even run in his own state, so he's auditioning for a spot on a cable news channel that's not here, by the way. He's not interested in the whole fair and balanced thing. He wants to go far to the left, or he's setting himself up for a 2020 run. I can't take it anymore.
Or is he just
giving the left ammunition every day?
Or is he just trying to get back at the president for, you know, the sparring that they've had in the past?
Yes, but I don't even think he's bright enough to have figured that out. I really do think he's setting himself up for some kind of run in 2020 as like the pragmatic alternative. Listen, this guy is not a conservative, okay? I know people in the movement from having run myself and having been an activist before I got into, you know, my show and stuff like that. They measure the conservatism of immigration bills, I'm not kidding, on what Flake does. If Flake supports it, they know it's not conservative. This guy is not, he's not even a rhino. He's not even a Republican. He's not a Republican in name only. He's not a Republican at all. And I'm tired of him speaking out as like some kind of voice of reason against Trump. And can I make one last point on this? Because it's critical. If he's trying to say that Trump is somehow an authoritarian tyrant like Stalin, is this guy really not that bright? So Trump, who's giving money back to people through tax cuts, certainly sounds like a tyrant to me, only if you're an idiot. He drops the individual mandate where the government forced you to do something by Obamacare. You don't have to do that anymore. And he also dumps record amounts of red tape, Trump, where the government makes you do things you don't want to do. Does that sound like a tyrant? Only if you're not that bright and you can't get elected to your own Senate seat in Arizona like Flake.
A couple of things just to bring up. This is, he's doing the speech in order to combat what the president's going to do later on Wednesday night, which is the fake news awards, which he's giving out, I believe, unless he postpones it again. And as much as I think that Jeff Flake is a good person, I think that he could talk to Bob Corker. Bob Corker called the president a couple of weeks ago and said, I get it. He said, what are you talking about? He said, I know what it's like, in a way, when you say it's so frustrating to hear news that isn't accurate, because remember the Corker amendment that was put into the tax bill that had nothing to do with Bob Corker, that he doesn't benefit from, the money he gets goes to charity? He was telling anchors, this is not true. They say, I know, you can clear your name up. And when he got on the air, they attacked him as if they had short-term memory loss. And he called up the president and says, I get what would get you angry. The president said, don't worry about it, it's going to pass. And it did in a couple of days. So I think that maybe Jeff Flake could put himself in the president's shoes for a change.
Yeah, maybe if Jeff Flake and the media are so concerned about the fake news, then maybe they can put out a story that's actually genuine for once. Corker's right. They called it the Corker Amendment, or the Corker kickback, excuse me, even though he had nothing to do with the amendment. And another thing, Brian, I mean, the media's refuted their own stories in an effort to take down Trump. Remember the New York Times' own reporting about wiretapping of Donald Trump? The New York Times reported that, and then when Mark Levin went on the radio and talked about the New York Times' own reporting, some of the same media outlets attacked him as a conspiracy theory guy. This is insane. We're living in like bizarro Superman land.
Yeah, well, he's not just giving an anti-Trump speech, he wrote an anti-Trump book too, so that's a little different.